What's that? Am I doing anything now? Yep. Okay, there we go. Good morning. I've been looking forward to being with you today. I've been, 2 weeks ago, I preached on the first of 3 sermons on Micah 6:8. This is the second. I love preaching this verse. I must have preached 20, 30 sermons over the course of my years just upon this verse. And I always find something different in it. I hope that that will be the case for you as well today. We stand here at the beginning of the 6th chapter of Micah. If you have your Bibles, I encourage you to turn there. If you have your phones, punch up the Bible app. If you don't have the Bible app, shame on you. But punch up Micah chapter 6, and you'll see there at the beginning of the chapter, Micah is using word pictures here to convey all of his feelings towards the people of Israel. He's using this imaginary courtroom where God is the prosecutor and the people of Israel are the defendants and the mountains are witnesses. It says, "Hear, you mountains, the Lord's accusation. Listen, you everlasting foundations of the earth. For the Lord has a case against his people, and he is lodging a charge against Israel." And it goes on down. Then it gets down here to the 6th verse. And it says, "So with what shall I come before the Lord and bow down before the exalted God? Shall I come before him with burnt offerings, with calves a year old? Will the Lord be pleased with thousands of rams, with 10,000s of rivers of oil? Shall I offer my firstborn for my transgression, the fruit of my body for the sin of my soul?" And then he gets down here to this 8th verse, which is the whole of biblical ethics compressed down to just a few words. And this is an important message from God. We have tried so hard to complicate things and make religion a ritual and make it something that we invent ourselves. And Micah is saying for the Lord here what the essence of ethics are. And he has showed you, O man, what is good. And what does the Lord require of you? But to act justly. Now, some versions say do justice, but if you go back and read it in the original Hebrew, it is to act justly and to love mercy and to walk humbly with your God. This triad of behavior, acting justly, loving mercy, walking humbly. If we can master this, really master this, we have taken huge steps towards understanding how we live out our Christian faith. We've talked 2 weeks ago about acting justly. Justice is fairness. It is equality. It is doing what is right for everyone. But today I want to talk about how we love mercy. The best way I can describe mercy is to tell a story about Napoleon Bonaparte. Now, a lot of people make fun of Napoleon Bonaparte. They say, oh, he just was in love with himself, and he always tucked his hand in his shirt like this for some unknown reason, and he posed. And do you realize what Napoleon Bonaparte did? Why he was conquering Europe? Why he did not succeed in conquering Russia? He just took his armies and upturned the whole social system of Europe. And you think, well, why did he do that? Well, he believed in justice and mercy. He wanted to have one criminal system, one penal code, one idea of what courtrooms should be about for all of Europe. He forbade privileges that were based upon birth. If you were born in a poor family, you were entitled to the same privileges as those born in a rich family. He allowed freedom of religion. He did not believe in a state church or a state religion. He believed that government jobs ought to go to the most qualified. It was something that the Americans didn't get onto until the first part of the next century. And he wanted to have a good civil service system. Matter of fact, if you look carefully at what Napoleon Bonaparte was doing, that is basically the legal system for the state of Louisiana. for he had incorporated that into his holdings here in the New World in North America, and specifically Louisiana, where they don't have counties, they have parishes, based upon the idea of how a parish, how a local government should govern itself. He wanted to establish a pan-European legal system, and that was why he was doing all the conquering. Read a biography of Napoleon. It's amazing the things that you learn about this man and what he believed in. He just wanted things to be just. He wanted things to be standardized. The interesting story that comes from reading about Napoleon was that a mother came to him one time and pleaded for mercy for her condemned son. And Napoleon didn't think that he deserved it. He was going to be executed. He was going to be killed. And it was not just some minor thing. This was, I believe, his third offense. And the justice system that Napoleon was trying to establish demanded that this young man, be killed, demanded death. His mother came to him and she said, "I am not asking for justice. I am pleading for mercy." And Napoleon said to her, "Your son doesn't deserve mercy." And his mother answered, "If he deserved it, it wouldn't be mercy. He does not deserve it, but I'm asking for mercy." Interestingly enough, Napoleon granted that woman's request, and her son's life was spared. It was beyond justice. It was mercy, something he did not deserve. Mercy is that compassion. Mercy is that forgiveness that is shown towards someone, especially someone whom it is in our power to punish or to condemn. And we choose not to do that. We choose to make the redemptive choice. Now think about that. That's a key word here. Mercy is choosing to be redemptive, specifically when you could be condemning. You choose not to condemn, not to judge harshly, but you choose to redeem. That is mercy. It is the kind of act that God has given to you and me. Now think about that. Many of us in this room, we understand what salvation is experientially. Some of you been saved so many years ago you forgot what it was like. You've been saved and sanctified and petrified, homogenized, pasteurized, putrefied. And you know all about it. But have you forgotten what it was like when you didn't deserve anything from Jesus and his blood saved you anyway? That's mercy. Now, can you not show that kind of mercy to those who are around you? That's what Napoleon did. He had the power to condemn, and he chose to forgive. It gives what it really doesn't have to give, and it cares when it really doesn't have to care. It acts on another person's behalf when it really doesn't have to act that way. Mercy's decision is to choose to be redemptive. Now, there are many times when we really don't want to forgive people. They have hurt us and they have hurt others. But we have to love mercy, it says. Mercy is to do it and to like it. If you want to write this down, this is a key part. I want you to write down. Mercy, it's a two-pronged animal. It is to do mercy and to love doing mercy. Now, that's hard. Jesus showed us mercy because he loved us. I can understand Jesus loving me, but I'm not so sure about him loving you. Yeah, he loves you too. Yeah, he does. My wife always would say to me, she says, "Yeah, Jim, Jesus loves you, and I'm working on it." But we are really called to love people in that way. Love them to such an extent that we want to be redemptive toward them, that we want to show mercy toward them. He has shown you what is good. And what does he require of you but to do justice and to love mercy and to walk humbly with your God? There is a Levitical principle here at work on mercy. That if you go back to Leviticus, you will find that we not only have to practice mercy, but we have to love to practice mercy. That has to be our first reflex. That has to be our initial action. That has to be how we see things. It says, do not reap the harvest of your land. When you reap the harvest of your land, do not reap to the very edges of your field or gather the gleanings of your harvest. Do not go over your vineyard a second time or pick up the grapes that have fallen. Leave them for the poor and for the alien. I am the Lord your God. Look on down chapter 19, verses 32, 37. Rise in the presence of the aged. I would like that to happen. And show respect for the elderly and revere your God. I am the Lord. And when the alien lives with you in your land, do not mistreat him. The alien living with you must be treated as one of your native born. Love him as yourself, for you were aliens in Egypt. I am the Lord your God. Do not use dishonest standards when measuring length, weight, or quantity. Use honest scales and honest weights, an honest ephah and an honest hin. I am the Lord your God who brought you out of Egypt. Keep all of my decrees and all of my laws and follow them. I am the Lord. Over and over and over again throughout the Bible it says, show mercy. Don't be a person who tries to look out just for number one. Do justice, love mercy, and walk humbly with your God. Now, we got to say one other thing about mercy. I want you to understand this. I've mentioned it already, but let's be clear about it. Mercy is God's defining characteristic. We often say that we must worship God in spirit and in truth, and God is love and all that. I really think mercy is the key word here. It is his defining characteristic. He has shown mercy to his people. He has shown mercy to you and to me. And when we understand that this is God's very definition of himself, it just changes things. Deuteronomy 4:31, the Lord your God is a merciful God. Look down in Micah 7th chapter, the 18th verse, a chapter away from where we're studying. Who is a God like you, who pardons the sin and forgives the transgression of the remnant of his inheritance? You do not stay angry forever, but you delight in showing mercy. You do not stay angry forever. I have a problem with that. I do. Some people have hurt me. And it is all I can do not to just go up to them and go, Sometimes you just want to. You just want to. And I remember this verse. This verse is so important to me because God is telling me I can't do that and live the Christian life. I cannot stay angry. I cannot hold that grudge. It's something I struggle with. And I have my whole life. But I'm aware of it. I keep fighting it. And I want my friends to be treated the same way God treats me. Mercifully. I was watching a movie some years ago. Maybe you've seen it. The movie Invictus about Nelson Mandela and the rugby team that was playing. And he had been imprisoned on Robben Island for 27 years. And now he's the president of South Africa. And he goes to this rugby match, and he doesn't have enough protection around him, the Secret Service people. And so the call goes out for more protection for the new president at this rugby match. And 4 white people come up and say, we'll protect the president. Well, these were the same white people that were protecting the white president that put Nelson Mandela in prison. And the people didn't want to accept that. They didn't trust the white person to be truly protective of Nelson Mandela. But he said, no, that's okay, hire them. Because he like God, chose not to be angry forever. If ever a person had a right not to hire a white man, it was Nelson Mandela, imprisoned for 27 years for no other crime than being black and speaking out. I need to tell you, my friends, I look to that as a model. To say that I am going to be merciful, I'm going to forgive somebody that is really beyond forgiveness from my point of view. I'm going to forgive him anyway. You think that's a hard task? I'm encouraged by what I see. Do you know in 1951, I'm sorry, that's not right, 1981, I mistyped it, 1981, 52% of the world's population was living in extreme poverty. Now, by extreme poverty, they were living on the equivalent of $1.25 a week. They had that to spend all week long. It's kind of like the allowance I gave myself in college. I was living on $7 every 2 weeks. That was a lot. I had bought a house and a car and put $2 in the bank. And, but $1.25 is just a unheard of amount of money in terms of its smallness. Do you know that in 2011, 26% of the world was living in extreme poverty? Now, did you understand what I just said? In 30 years, we cut the poverty rate in this planet in half, from 52% to 26%. In 30 years' time. Now, if we can do that, if that generation, I'll take some part of that generation, if they can do that, what can this next generation do? I tell you, it's a time for heroes. And it's a time when we can step up as Christians, as the church, and be the leaders in showing mercy and doing justice and walking humbly with our God and being co-travelers in this journey on this planet, loving and showing mercy to all people. You know, we believe in being a part of the evangelical holiness tradition. We wear that banner proudly. We are evangelical, and we share our faith, and we believe others should have that faith. We believe in holiness, a certain level and standard of behavior. And we are all been saved by grace, but I need to tell you, my friends, we have been guilty of passing judgments upon people by their emails and their posts on social media, and we lessen them down to second-class citizens because they don't see things the way we see things. Now, what is that? Where's mercy fit into that? Can we not, as Christians, set an example on our social media that we're going to say, God bless you for being where you are in your journey. I applaud you for every progress you make. Move forward. I don't have to pass judgment. You don't have to be where I am. And I don't have to be where you are in life. But we have to love each other where we're at. That's showing mercy, my friends. There are times, I think, when we do this intercessory prayer on Sunday morning, we spend far too much time praying for people's hangnails when we ought to be praying for their souls. We spend far too much time struggling with all the things that this body has that's going to be 70 years and 10 if we are fortunate. And we forget that the soul is everlasting. And how we treat other people now, showing mercy and love toward them, changes the destiny of their soul. It diverts them onto a detour that they've been on in their life and gets them back on the path of following Jesus. Showing mercy makes a difference in people's lives. It changes lives. Martin Luther, way back in the 16th century, in 1522, he wrote these words. He says, Christ is the kind of person who is not ashamed of sinners. In fact, he even puts them in his family tree. Now, if the Lord does that here, so ought we to despise no one. but to put ourselves right in the middle of the fight for sinners and to help them. He has shown you what is good. And what does the Lord require of you? But to do justice and to love mercy and to walk humbly with your God.